Hey guys, welcome back to the Mind Body Broadcast with Austin and Marty. And today we are going to talk about sleep. That is such a hot button topic right now, along
Mhm.
with some of the other hot buttons, digestion and all that cool stuff. But um, sleep, we see some good tips thrown around in terms of sleep hygiene, but I think I don't know that there's a whole lot of good all-encompassing type stuff. And I get this question sometimes, like in my Q&As. Well,
Yep.
what is your sleep hygiene routine? Or just kind of a
Mhm.
general idea of how do you piece these things together uh,
Yep.
to to create a good routine. So, and I'm sure you get that question. So we see it
Yeah.
all the time. You need to sleep. You need to have sleep quality. Well, what does that actually mean? How do you quantify it? We could talk about things like actually tracking sleep. If you're wearing like some type of fitness tracker, that's always good. But there's a lot of things that go into it. So maybe let's start off. So let's start off with sleep hygiene routine. We could
Sure.
maybe talk about what our personal routines are, and then we can go from there. So what are some of the main things that you like to do in terms of sleep hygiene?
Oh, definitely is that comes right to my brain is shutting down most of my lights around that kind of 7, 8 p.m. my time. Like I even have a TV setting that I can put it to like if anyone has an iPhone out there, there's that nighttime mode. It's kind of like taking a blue screen and making it more of that orange or red screen. And that's huge for me. And that will really give you a head start on melatonin production and won't keep you blasting away at that. I've got some people can correct me on some of these if they want, but I'll rifle some of the statistics I remember off the top of my head going on this. But I think that blue light that you get from the back of our phones or our TVs can crush melatonin production by at least 50%. So even going over to those, like I had on my iMac for the longest time. I think the app was called Flux, but now
Yeah,
they have a
that's what I
nighttime mode, so I can put it on there. Yeah, see, there you go. You've heard of that before. One cool. And so, yeah, using that, like, even if I had to work later into the night, it just helps so much as opposed to my brain and my mind being tricked into thinking it's still daytime, right? That's why the worst place, excuse me, they say on the planet for being in there for having lack of melatonin production is a hospital. That's why they give so many patients in there melatonin, because how melatonin works, if anyone doesn't really know, is that it's just you're being exposed to light. If you don't have lack of light, or at least mimicking a sunset and dusk, you are going to have that messed up, and that's one of the primary uh, reasons why people can't fall asleep. It's just it. Try going into a hospital and being inside of a hospital bed with those big, what is it called, like fluorescent lights? Is that the type of lighting?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, if you're in there with those fluorescent lights on, they're on full blast, and you're in like a hallway, you're not in a room, you're not going to sleep. It's just, or if you are, it's going to be fully impossible. So that's definitely step number one for me, is making sure all my lights are either toned down or turned off. Definitely then just even straight up getting a routine period in terms of, like, if you have your last meal at 9 o'clock, try to have it at your last meal at 9 o'clock. If you take your last bout of vitamins at 9:30 or whenever, be really adamant about that, because then your body will definitely say to you, hey, this is sleep time again, isn't it? And it's just like any kind of other routine. If you go to bed at, we'll say, 10 p.m. at night, and you wake up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. in the morning, that's perfect. That's your body now telling you, or sorry, that's you being able to tell your body, this is what I want to do for a sleep routine. And so then on top of that, I really, this is a big one I know you're going to agree with too, is limit my damn stimulants at nighttime.
Mm.
Like, just cut them out, right? If you need to have them anything past, we'll say, mid to late afternoon, I would really, I'm not talking to you directly, shift workers, I'm not. I've coached enough nurses out there to know that you girls will start sometimes at midnight, and that's definitely not who I'm talking about here. So I will say then limit them to, I like to say 6 hours, 7 hours before bed, but earlier they can, or the earlier you can, the better. So those are kind of the ones off the top of my head that tell me that sleep's gonna be coming up. What about yourself? What are your top ones?
Oh, I think you put out some great ones. I do a lot of that same stuff in terms
Sure.
of, yeah, I think at night, along with the lights too, it's just just trying to be in a calm environment. I try to avoid, like, if you wear the blue blockers and you really want to watch like a TV show or something at night with your blue blockers on, well, you probably shouldn't watch an action movie right before you go to bed. You know what I mean?
Don't watch the whole Die Hard series right before bed.
Exactly. Yeah. So just stuff like that. You just, you want to be in a parasympathetic state. So beyond the light element of it, you want to be in a parasympathetic state. So whatever you need to do to make that happen, and it's not, and there's a lot of things you could do. You could do more direct work, like some guided meditation if you wanted to listen to a video or something, or soft belly breathing and all that stuff. You don't necessarily have to. It really just boils down to what calms you down. That's it. I mean, you need to be in a calm state, and whatever you need to do to get you there outside of hard drugs is it's going to be is going to be a go-to, right? And so, I mean, in that regard, so I like to think of this as a whole day, though. This is what I try to get through to people as let's think of the routine as a whole day, because when you really look at it in its entirety, our circadian patterns work in a whole 24-hour clock, more or less. So we're supposed to get up when it's light. We're supposed to go to sleep when it's dark. That's why, like, seasonal affective disorder, right? When you might feel tired earlier in the day because, well, it's not light out very long, right? It gets dark at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever, just depending on where you live. And well, now coming into summertime, it might be light till 9 p.m. or something. And
what is it for you there, Austin? What time does the sun come up? And what time does the sun go down? Yeah.
Man, I'm trying to think of when the sun comes up. It's early. It's early right now because, I mean, I got up this morning about 7 a.m. and it was already light, pretty much completely light. And right now, it's not really getting dark until about 9.
Yeah. So I just looked at my phone right now. Sunrise today was at 5:30 a.m. and is going to be sunset at 9:35 p.m. So and then typical of the wintertime here, which would have been just even 3-4 months ago, would have been maybe sun up at 8:30 and then sun down at 4:30. So that's a whopping amount of difference of time. We're talking like 10 hours.
Yeah.
So
it's huge. And of course that directly can correlate into how tired you feel, because as you said,
massively,
like, as you said, the melatonin component and all your circadian hormones in terms of things that release in patterns. So cortisol, that's one, right? That's the big one. Melatonin, those are really the two big ones, because the cortisol will go up and down depending on the time of the day. But other things like your neurotransmitters that dictate how you feel, you're going to want more serotonin and GABA at night, not epinephrine and dopamine. It's not right. That's why again, besides the stimulants are also, central nervous system stimulants, but they also help release those catecholamines. So that's not what you want. But I try to, like, once we get past that stuff, I try to kind of help people look at it as the whole scope of a day. So like something, and a lot of this kind of really honestly came up when I was having all those adrenal issues. That's where I got interested in it, because at that point I noticed some weird things. Like, I had a really bad sensitivity to light. I wasn't able to, like, I felt very strange when I looked into bright light. It didn't, and so one of the things that I do now as a routine is I try to get light in my eyes in the morning.
That's also very, very, very healthy. That's definitely something I've been reading. Yep.
So, and it's not like, don't go stare at the sun. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, every time we have an eclipse and they say, don't stare at the sun. Yeah. Don't do that.
That's how Austin got his adrenal issues.
Yeah, right. Staring directly at the sun. So don't do that. But if it's not a gloomy day, a cloudy morning or something, just open the blinds, get some sunlight into your eyes, whatever room that you might be in the house. If you're, getting your food ready to go for work or whatever, maybe open the blinds in your kitchen. Or in the bedroom, it doesn't wherever, but so I do that. And then, my day's pretty normal. I'll cut off stimulants around afternoon time, like early afternoon. I don't take in lots of stimulants anyhow, but,
Good. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, you got to think caffeine, if we're talking a half-life around maybe 5 to 6-ish hours or somewhere in there,
That's
depending
right.
on like how you metabolize it, that is the half-life.
Exactly.
That's not the active life.
Well,
That's
take a look at all
half-life.
the goddamn amount of caffeine in pre-workouts now. They'll say 400 milligrams,
Right.
and it's like, and I know. So I think the most ridiculous one I saw was 300 milligrams per half scoop. So, and what is it? I think the science is still telling that above 300 milligrams in one shot is not going to do anything anyways. However, as Austin just said, that's half-life. So that 5.5 to 6 hours later, you're still going to have 300 milligrams floating around. So you take that at, and when do most people train? Where
Evening time,
can most people train? Right, exactly, because they have to train after work, 5, 6, 7 p.m. So now you're blasting down a 200 to 400 milligram pre-workout. That half of it's going to be out of you by 11 p.m. maybe at best. Frig.
Yeah. It's not good, and it's not, and you can easily see it like in the people that I know, or their clients that
That are chronic eaters.
Yeah, that track sleep through
Yep.
like through Aura Ring or something, or a Whoop band. I know a lot of people like those now. You'll see it right in the sleep. So even if they're dead ass tired and they fall asleep, the sleep quality is totally different.
Yep. Oh yes. Yep.
So,
And that's definitely something we should touch on too, is that total hours is not even close to equivocal to quality hours.
no, it's not. So I mean, like I said, that's why I'm talking about setting up your entire day's routine. So you want light in the morning,
I love
you
that.
want dark at night, and light also too. Just a quick tip, which I'm sure people have, most people know this, but you can use those like sun lamps and stuff. They do help.
Yep.
I have one on my desk just for the days that aren't very sunny out. I'll use that for a few hours in the morning. But at nighttime, man, one thing that I found, because at first I was learning kind of like the stuff you're talking about. I was learning about the light elements, wearing your blue blockers, blocking blue light on your screens, not being too stimulated at night, all that. And then I'm thinking, well, what about being comfortable, in your actual bed? And that's especially for some of these bigger guys, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing. And I'm not saying I'm like the biggest guy, but I've noticed, I mean, I could definitely tell a difference in bed at, 230 or 240 versus when I was like 170.
Oh, definitely.
It's
definitely,
it's different. So have a big enough bed, have a comfortable mattress, keep your bedroom at a cool temp. Like I do. It's funny because we have central air in the house, right? So it circulates, but for whatever reason, the upstairs is a little warmer than the downstairs. And
I think it's just the way it works. I think almost every place the heat rises, right? Even
right.
with it.
So I'm thinking like, well, I don't really want to run my thermostat at like 60 degrees to keep the bedroom cold. So in the summertime, we have a cheap little window air conditioner that sits in our room.
Nice. Gorgeous.
We don't run it anywhere else in the house because we have central air, but we'll run it in the room, and I keep it on like 60, as low as it'll go. And that makes a drastic difference. So if you can do that, and one thing that I started doing lately is my wife got these silk and satin pillowcases, the real soft ones. And I started using one. I'm like, holy crap, this thing stays so much cooler on my face and head than the cotton ones.
Okay.
And so I bought 2 of them off Amazon. Huge difference.
Okay.
Because now, especially for people that wear like CPAP masks and things like that get really hot and uncomfortable, you gotta have.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? I've never worn one. Have you worn one of them?
You know what?
Every single person I've known that's had them, Austin, says that it is a nightmare, like between tossing and turning and the heat and the comfort. Yeah.
So I had one because I had just some minor apnea. Now I found out that most of my issue came from snoring, and
sure,
if I can eliminate, which of course, if you wear a CPAP, you don't snore. So I eliminated my snoring actually by I wear a chin strap that goes around my chin and holds my mouth closed.
I'm just picturing you being
trying
like,
to picture it. Yeah.
I'm picturing you saying goodnight to your wife, me goodnight, and then just putting the chin strap on.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude,
I'm gonna put on my sexual gear right now and jump
Yep.
into bed.
Well, if there's any type of pre-bed activity, I keep the chin strap off and put it on.
that and the mouth guard and the CPAP
Yeah.
machine, those all stay off first, right? But okay, yeah. So how, like, is this just like a football chin strap or what?
Yeah, it's kind of like a stretchy material that just goes over the top of the head, and then it's almost like a CPAP a strap for a CPAP mask.
I get what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Just doesn't go around the front.
Yeah, it just holds my chin up, and ironically enough, because they make all kinds of like snoring mouth guards and things like that, but I never found success with those, but the chin strap works really well. And one thing that it does is it actually makes me breathe out my nose more, which isn't a bad thing. So nose breathing is good.
No,
if you're
I call it almost essential, because that mouth breathing will dehydrate the crap out of you so
Yep.
much faster. Yeah.
So
it also can be a telltale sign too, is just a little tidbit about your jaw being way out of line too.
Yep.
If you don't have one of those. Yeah.
So yeah, man, I wear for snorers out there that don't have, like, if you don't have bad enough apnea or whatever that you want to deal with the CPAP, because hey, you know what? The CPAP, if you have bad sleep apnea, you need a CPAP. Now, if you're minor, if you're minor, you might find it so freaking annoying to wear the machine that it's going to make your sleep worse.
Yeah.
So
and how ass backwards is that, right?
Right. Well, that's just my point. Is that I couldn't sleep with the damn thing. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to wear this. So I just go chin strap, and I do earplugs because that's just a habit now.
Yeah. And I know some people that swear by them as well, especially if you are victim, ladies, especially out there, if you are victim of the snoring husband, you might have to go full earplugs. Yeah. And so there are some really great websites out there. I've had some of my girls get the custom ones, because if they bug your ears, you can't do the old school foamy ones that you do if you were like on a construction site mowing lawns or something like that. You're going to have to look at, because it is like I'm going to stress this about another 2 or 3 times during this entire podcast, just how much me reading into and learning about sleep has really upgraded every aspect of life. It's one of those things that we just kind of, I don't know, not necessarily brush off, but definitely don't follow through with what I learned about it. So yeah, let's keep going with that for a little bit too, because I wrote down some more things for nighttime here, and then I'll even go over some of the things that I do in the morning time, because exactly what you said is the biggest thing for me in the morning is get up. I would almost want to have it if I was seeing some of these DJs that I've been following. They have like their blinds open up immediately upon rising. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, because then the light's going to flood into your room. It's going to really say, hey, start the day kind of thing. But for the nighttime go ahead.
Well, that's like the rest of my little routine. That's exactly what it does. So I have blackout curtains in the room.
Perfect.
But the one where the air conditioner's at is, I leave it up a little bit because the sun goes down on the opposite end, so that it's completely dark at night in there. But that sun will come up in that window in the morning, and it hits me in the face. So 7 o'clock when that sun's up, I'm like, shit, I can't fall back to sleep, because
it is too, especially when that's it's hard, once you see that little bit of sun, it can really that's it, sending that, what are we just talking about, sending that signal to the brain, right, saying hey, so that's why I took a chance. I've done this maybe 3 or 4 times with maybe 1 or 2 times successes, tried to buy a solicited item off of Facebook. And so they actually had one. It was called the Manta Mask, MANTA, and it is the best sleep mask I have ever seen. And I've gone through a lot of them. So have some of my clients. It almost looks like it does have little removable eyes pieces, so you can move it around, completely adjust it to your head. It's soft as it is. It has soft compression components around the eyes, and I can't tell you. I suffer from, I don't even know what it's clinically called because I'm too scared to look into it. But I sometimes sleep with my eyes open, or at least during REM, rapid eye movement sleep, I will flicker my eyes a lot. I've had people have full-on conversations with me when I've fallen asleep on the couch, and they're like, "Are you awake?" And I go, "Ah!" And I wake up scaring them, and they scare me. So, and it's terrible for.
Yeah.
I know it's really funny. Someone's got a photo of me out there for sure, sleep with my eyes open. I'm like, great, this is gonna. You wait, this podcast it'll surface. Here we go. Okay, but it's a very, very terrible thing to be always constantly having any kind of light in your room. And again, shift workers. If you were like my dad, and you went to work at 1:30 in the morning, and you came home at 1 in the afternoon, and you had tried to have a nap before everyone else came home, you have to have something like that, or blackout curtains, or both. You just have to. The sleep quality that you'll get will be so deteriorated and diminished. I don't have an exact stat for you on that, but it's very low, very, very low. Yeah, I'm with you too on the no Die Hard movies before bed. As silly as it is, keep all entertainment systems out of your room. Like no TV. Keep bed for 1 or 2 specific hobbies. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to get into Marty and Austin's lewd podcast here.
Yeah.
but yeah, like it is. It will, because then there's no urge at all to either A, go to bed with TV on, or C, wake up and just flip the TV on, be lazy. It's just, the more you associate bed with sleep, the better it is. Then I have also here too is there's the app that I use on my iPhone. It's just called Bedtime. They just added it into the clock there, and it's got such a soothing alarm to wake up to. That's kind of like a progression. It goes from, I think, like volume 3 to volume 4 to volume 5 over like 2 or 3 seconds each. Waking up to the classic is terrible for you. It's jolting you awake as if you were out being sleeping in the savannah or something like that, and a lion came through and roared in your ear. And what are you going to do? Wake up terrified and start running. So anything you can do to wake up to something a little bit more soothing. That's why I'll see a lot of people too, potentially at nighttime, have the soft ocean sounds or whatever, have the nice white noise, which I'm a big fan of. I bet you your AC puts out just enough noise too, even with the earplugs, to keep it nice. And if like you step on something in the middle of the night, or your dogs do something, you're not going to hear it and wake up. Especially women, I know, especially out there, my gosh, you girls are such light sleepers, and I know that a lot of you need that. So looking into that along with the earplugs would be fantastic. And then also find out too, because my mom, and I've had a couple ex-girlfriends suffer from this too, find out if you grind your teeth at night or you're a clencher, because having a kind of a mouth guard or it's called a bite plane at nighttime too, that can be transformational too. You won't wake up to not only raging headaches, but you'll actually be able to keep your jaw in line without you wearing your teeth down.
Yeah. So knowing what your actual nighttime tendencies are is good
for sure.
And if you have a partner or spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever, they can maybe tell you if you have some terrible nighttime habits or something that are bothering them, or like you said, teeth grinding, snoring, any of that stuff. It's like I said, that's just about being comfortable in bed. So it's not just what you do before you go to bed that makes a significant difference, but it's also what you do when you get up in the morning, what you do during the day, what you do in the evening. I mean, there's a bunch of other potential little things you could throw in there. You made a great point about people that the fluorescent lights, or like the really bright lights that people might be under, making it difficult to sleep. Some people work in that all day.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
They work in these lighting environments, like if they're in like an office maybe, or something along those lines. So one of the companies I use, it's called RA Optics. I use their blue blockers. They make a daytime blue blocker.
No shit. Okay, that's cool.
It's not as aggressive as the nighttime one. Like, it doesn't have like the extreme reddish orange tint to the lens. But if you are constantly in an environment, so if you work on a laptop or a phone, you can turn the blue light down whenever you want. You have that option. Now, some blue light in the eyes is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're working in an office environment or something like that, or a hospital, that's a great example, where it's so freaking bright that
all the time,
like you have a headache almost just from that light. That might be something to invest in. I would look into those, and then you can Of course, once you get home or in the evening, you can transition over into your normal blue blocking glasses or your, blue filters on your phone and all that jazz. And e- one issue that I run into, and you kind of alluded to it already, was, well, what about sleep routine for evening people that train it in the evening? It's not going to be that much different, but one thing I like to do is I tell people, hey, if you have the blue light settings on your phone and all that jazz, and you have the glasses, I said, throw those glasses on after you get out of the gym. I said, your goal after that is you need to get as calm as you possibly can. And if you want to, maybe 10 minutes of passive stretching after you're done, just to kind of just sit there and de-stress and, chill out. Have your food ready so you can come home and eat and you're not trying to rush, so all that stuff is helpful. And, honestly, if really push comes to shove, I tell a lot of people to try to go to bed earlier and wake up earlier and train in the morning. It's not always an option. I know people schedule and some people have families and it's just not always an option. But I've had a good handful of people that we've transitioned them to training in the morning. So basically they took that hour or whatever at night and just did some things to prepare for their morning so they didn't have to do it the next day. And then they use that morning time to train. They use that morning time to get their workout in. And man, they were able to sleep so much better. So
I don't doubt that. I don't at all.
Right. So it's just, because even if you don't take any stimulants during training, that's irregardless of stimulants, training is one of the most sympathetically driven activities you could do. You're jacking your nervous system through the roof. So it's just think about your environment. Think about the stuff that you're doing at night. I mean, even little things like I know you'll laugh at this because I'm sure you've done it, but it's hard when you work from home and you have this bad habit of not wanting to go to bed with emails in your inbox.
Yep.
Well, I'm guilty of it, but I try to finish stuff. I try to cut myself off and I'll get it all done before a certain time. That way, if there's one that comes in after that time, it is what it is. I'll look at it in the morning because I can't, if I'm 30 minutes, if I'm 30 or 45 minutes before bed and I open up a stressful email, that's it. It's over. It's literally going to take me an extra hour to fall asleep. No joke.
I'll tell you, there was when I was in one of the masterminds about a couple of years ago for business, I'll tell you, one of the best speakers I ever watched said to not only stop multitasking was huge. And he showed some very hard statistics on how we multitask and do two things at once. You're going to get 70% of the work quality, and you're going to get maybe a third, you're going to take you 3 times the amount of time to finish both of them at 70% quality. So that was huge. And then the other thing was to get yourself some kind of either social media or a computer or just some kind of system or app. And I forget what he had. I was saying it was Screen Doctor or something along those lines. That so like for you, for instance, Austin, say it's at 7:30. Your email was not able to be accessed until the next morning. That type of thing. Like that's an extreme, but like that's so helpful for people such as yourself. And I have done that too, where you want to, keep going. And I get it. I in terms of when I say I get it about finances, if you are a starting up coach or if you are a starting up entrepreneur and you got to keep grinding, you got to keep working. Okay. But, Austin, how old are you now again? 37?
37. Well, the gray in my hair says that I'm 47.
Yeah, no joke, right? So yeah, like what, 28, 29 now?
I turned 30 pretty soon.
Hey, okay, so you're going to be 30. I'm going to be 35 here in August. And I will tell you, you do not get away with losing, that hour of sleep or 2 hours of sleep or 3 hours of sleep if you're going that crazy that you did when you were younger. I attributed a lot into the thought process and analogy of like a hangover. What you could get away with when you were 20, 21, 22, you cannot get away with now, kids. You just can't. And so, yes, that'd be a really good transition into what we should talk about now is kind of optimal things or some of the science to scare the crap out of everybody that it did with me too. So I was saying for years and years, 8 hours of sleep without fail, that people needed eight hours. So I'll probably try to mention this again at the very end here, but the book is called, I think, How We Sleep or Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, and he has literally a sleep research clinic in California. And this is the dude's magnum opus. This is I don't go by pages anymore. I go by audiobook minutes, and this is a 16 and a half hour long book, where the average book that I've read that's about business or whatever, they're around 8 to 10 hours. So this is some science heavy shit, and it scared me in the sense of what we should definitely go into too, is about how it affects performance, how like even going underneath, so that now that 7 to 9 hours is what it is now, and that's person dependent. Yeah, some people will need 7, some people only need 7. But if you hear any, so also too, I will mention really quickly before I dive into this, that there's a Joe Rogan podcast. If you type in Joe Rogan, Matthew Walker, it'll come up, and it's 2 hours long, but it is kind of the greatest hits of his research. And Joe is blown away, and I was blown away. I was by myself with my mouth open, like Austin would be without his chin strap at nighttime sleeping. That was me the whole time listening to the podcast. So it was 7 to 9, depending upon the person, and just how aggressive he was on saying anyone that says they only need 6.5, or they only need 6, or they feel great on 6 is complete bullshit. Like what starts to happen at that like 6 and below is, especially coming from our world, coming from the bodybuilding or the fitness scene, is just beyond. Like 40% reductions in strength at 6 hours versus 7 hours, 40% or more reductions in brain power and fatigue. The whole like, and I wish I had knew this in university, and of course I didn't, but the whole go to damn bed and stop cramming until 3 hours before your exam and only get 3 hours of sleep. Terrible idea. Worst idea ever. You'll forget more than you'll remember. It's much better to sleep for that 7 to 9 than it is to even think about studying for another hour, which is crazy to hear about. Also then too, it's just like mind-blowing to know that how much of a physical like recovery we don't get. Like, of course, everyone wants to go in the gym and bash it around, go train 7, 8, 9 days a week for 3 hours and get that recovery. But of course, with food and proper everything else on top of that, if you don't sleep, good luck. Like as much as you want to think that being awake and burning calories is a good thing, which it is, of course, but if you don't get that sleep, I will tell you, your body will start rebelling against you like no one's business. So that's definitely a lot of stuff that needs to be taken into consideration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a difference. Well, there's a couple things. So there's the difference between like acute sleep loss and chronic sleep loss.
And even acute though, man, like he goes into this in that book. Like I'm not. Oh, you're definitely correct. Yeah, but just like if you lose even that one, you can sleep 7 to 9 perfectly for years on end, and then that one time you get that 5 or 6 hours of sleep. Do it. Well, who hasn't done it out there? They wake up and they feel like shit.
Yeah.
Right. It happens to me every single time I do.
It's no joke. They're in the literature, one night of sleep deprivation was showing a pretty big disruption in circadian hormones. So like secretion of cortisol, of blood glucose in the morning, of melatonin, right. And also it was showing an acute response to insulin resistance. So the way that you're going to partition nutrients the following day might be different. So when you go in the gym and you feel weaker and your pump's not as good, well, there's maybe something to that, perhaps. I mean, it's amazing. Essentially, every every marker of health was negatively affected.
Yep. It's crazy.
And the term that I always throw around a lot and we use is that subjective well-being, right? People don't realize.
Oh man, I was looking for the term. Thank you. Subjective well-being. That's right.
Well, I had a guy recently, and this happens. It happens constantly. I think it happens a little more in people that weren't into this lifestyle quite as much initially, because people that are really into this lifestyle, they're kind of used to tracking variables, right? Numbers, weight, and photos and whatever. But this gentleman was not. He had not done anything like this, and we were easing him into stuff. And I was trying to talk to him about the importance of all of these factors outside training and nutrition. So
they're almost always the biggest factors, if you really think about it. Yeah.
Because he was really poor at managing a lot of this stuff. And I said, man, we can, obviously, if we fix your nutrition and your training, that's going to help you create a calorie deficit and all this. You're going to lose weight initially. But I said, if you really want to feel your best and get your best results long-term and maintain them, we need to focus on all this other stuff. And he had started wearing a sleep tracker, and he was just blown away by how terrible his sleep quality was. And I just
Really?
started slowly adding little things, like the stuff we're talking about. I would add like 1 or 2 things a week. And I said, hey, this week, try this. Just throw it into your routine. No pressure, just add this in, start doing this. And it kept improving and improving and improving. And his results just kept, escalating from there. His training performance, it's amazing how much stronger he got while losing tons of body fat.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
That's just about to get into that. When people say, what can I do to make my results faster? I'm following my plan perfectly. I'm like, well, here it is. Here's all the outside factors, like you were just mentioning, that can really expedite that crap for sure.
And that's one of the most, and I always look at updates and what do we know about what's going on within a week's time? Well, as long as the person's adhering to the plan, probably not that. Even if we made changes to the plan the previous week, how much of an impact is changing a few hundred calories up and down or changing the training? Like, it's in a week's span that's going to make pretty minimal difference.
Outside of contest prep, I'm with you 100%.
It's going to make a difference, obviously, because that's the whole point. But my point is, you're not going to jump up 3 or 4 pounds up or down because of a few hundred calories in your plan. That's not how it works. So what is the one, 1 or 2 things, I guess they're kind of in the same category, that change things the quickest? Is it's going to be stress and sleep, and because anytime I see a big dump of stress or someone improves their sleep, they're always going to look better. Did you lose 4 pounds of fat in the week? Well, no, of course not. You just took a large demand, large stress demand off your body, and we see it, we see that stuff all the time. So, I like that you brought up the literature. I mean, if anyone wants to go listen to that podcast, that's super interesting stuff. And you could literally go right on PubMed if you like to look at studies and just type in sleep deprivation. And there are so many different negative results. Try it next time you have a bad night's sleep. If you're someone that maybe tracks your blood glucose or something, see what it is compared to usual. It might be higher. You might also have higher resting heart rate in the morning. There's just so many, there's so many things. And as you become more advanced at this, you know how to follow a freaking diet and training plan from your coach. Let your coach handle that. You listen, you execute. But you have to, if you want to get the most out of it, managing all these factors are paramount.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're looking for the missing links, or like one of those ways to think about it is if you ever see those people with the spinning plates, right, where they have plates on top of whatever, they can see some kind of people that do like juggling or entertainers. Like, you let that sleep plate start to wobble and fall. I guarantee you those other plates won't be able to be as fast spinning, or they will start to wobble as well. Because it is like, I've watched so many clients, friends, relatives go off of that little amount of sleep, even like we just said, acutely or very short term. And what will it do to you? It'll crush you. Like I remember going to a couple music festivals when I was younger, and I would get maybe 5 or 6 hours of sleep at night after that, with woof, 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 and then watching Die Hard as soon as I got back. Right? No, just kidding. But then it'll immediately. The next day will nowhere be near as enjoyable. And then what are you doing? You're stuffing more caffeine into, you're stuffing more. And so it's terrible. And that could be one of the last things that we talk about too, is sleeping pills and or things that, like this. We've already did quite a bit of stuff on some stimulants before, but for sleeping pills. So way back when doing some of my first shows, I was recommended Zopiclone, which is a pretty famous, pretty standard sleeping pill out there. And I will tell you, it does work, but not in the way that you will necessarily want. It completely crushes your REM sleep. You do not get any rapid eye movement sleep on it, which is that deep, restful sleep that you do pretty much need in order to have a quote unquote full recovered sleep. Along with that, they are so physically addictive or physically dependent. In other words, you use whatever is a half a pill or a pill at nighttime for 3 days in a row, and then you try to sleep the next night, your body will not know how to go to sleep without using these prescription guys. Yeah, by the way, these are all this is prescription stuff I'm talking about. I'm not talking about anything like melatonin or 5-HTP that you can get over the counter. So yeah, and ended up being, and I've got no problem admitting it, when I was working way too much, this would be probably 4 or 5 years ago now, straight up abusing sleeping pills. And I tell you, it fucking sucked. I hated it. And then trying to come off of that, I remember it was after the big slew of shows that we usually have here from April, May, and June, and then maybe some in July. I remember it being in the summertime. And I think that might have been, now that I'm thinking about it, right around that time where I scared the shit out of myself and read that Matthew Walker's book entirely and said, okay, I got to do something about this. He didn't really touch on sleeping pills as much as I would like him to. So I had to do some independent research to find out just what the hell I was doing to my body. And yeah, I went so hard into a sleep routine, did exactly like Austin was saying, got to make sure my room was freezing cold, because that is such a huge factor. Do not be warm when you're going to bed. Even in the book, Matthew Walker says, take a hot shower before you go to bed, because then when you get out, it's called the heat dump. And apparently you will just whoosh, all the heat will kind of go out of your body, and everything else will be so much cooler compared to where you were in the shower. And that kind of preps you for bed. And then also, yeah, with having a good sleep mask. I didn't quite have my Manta mask at that time. But so I had a sleep mask. I started, really over focusing on having the blue blockers kind of on, or at least the blue lights on anything like TV, phone, laptop going down. Really much so focusing on, if I even did listen to music, it was way more less amped up stuff if I was going to be doing that. And then even to the degree of, I think I was watching like a pretty lame TV show at the time, and kind of really blocked off that last 30 minutes or an hour before bed to watch that lame TV show on low volume, not in my bed, because that even told my brain even more, okay, he's watching this show that's setting him up for bed. And it was still hell coming off of those high amounts of sleeping pills, but it did work. And now I don't need them. Now I use some kind of natural stuff that we were talking about in one other episode there. Like I'll use some tyrosine, I'll use some 5-HTP here and there when I feel a little bit too beat up, if I'm starting to use too many stimulants during the day. But yeah, and then there's a couple other ones out there. I know there's Zolpidem now, which kind of just induces sleep as opposed to keeping you asleep for the 8 hours. I never found that one did much of anything for me. Some people it does, but the moral of the story is, the further you can stay away from those prescription sleeping pills, the better. They have a host of side effects that go along with them too, that are not just dependency, that you just do not want.
So this one might ruffle a couple feathers, but we can end it out with this.
Sure.
The sleeping pills is an interesting one, because there's this idea that just because something makes you fall asleep that it's better. And I know a lot of people get prescribed these things. I know a lot of people use things. They self-medicate with things. I know a lot of people do things like smoke marijuana, like stuff like that, right? There's a lot of potential ways that you could calm yourself and or induce sleep and or stay asleep. Now, from seeing actual people's tracking sleep, like through Oura Ring or these Whoop bands or whatever it might be, one of the things I noticed, and I've seen some literature to confirm this, is a lot of the stuff actually makes sleep quality worse. Like you said, it doesn't. Here's the kicker though, is if your sleep quality is so terrible, as in you can't get to sleep and you sit and toss and turn for hours at night, of course something that helps you get to sleep and sleep an extra few hours rather than sit there and toss and turn, yes, it might help initially, right? Because your quality was so bad to begin with. But I always try to encourage people to correct the underlying issue. We have mechanisms, we have hormones, we have patterns in place that are supposed to help us sleep. Like this idea of, oh, my sleep's never been that good. That's a dumb answer. That's this is my normal. I said, no, there's something there. Let's figure it out. And it might not even have to do with your sleep routine. It could be a whole number of things, like hormonally, that are off. So let's try to figure that out. I know I even saw, and I had this with a client, I even saw talking about the common one now is like THC, right? Using
Yep.
THC or smoking, or like a
CBD.
THC CBD combos, or just different. There's all kinds of different ways you could get it. But the THC component, especially, was somewhat
Yeah.
stimulating and
I was
also depressing, right?
just about to say, do not take THC at nighttime. It's been a
I'm gonna
nightmare
tell you
for
what.
everyone.
I'm gonna tell you what. I know so many people do it, and it does calm you down. It does.
Yep.
It
But
will
that's
calm
not the
you
long
down.
term, right?
Right. It will calm you down, but out of almost every person's sleep data that I've seen that's used it,
It's
it
worse, isn't it?
worsens their sleep quality.
Yep. That's what
They
I've seen too, buddy.
they
Hmm.
just they like it because it calms them down and enables them to not think about anything, and because they're high and they fall
Yeah. That's
asleep.
the high component of it.
You
Yes.
know?
Yes.
It's so of course on the surface that seems good, but when I actually start looking at what's happening while they're actually asleep, their quality is significantly, sometimes, well, it just depends. Sometimes it's a little bit worse, but some cases it's significantly worse. And I had a client that he was pretty much dependent on it. He had to
Of
use it every
course.
night to go to sleep because he had a lot of anxiety. So I started talking to him about some different things that he could do to help improve his overall routine and enable him to go to sleep. So he did that and then cut out the THC and was tracking his sleep. He's like, holy crap, I feel so much better in
Hmm.
the morning.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I know, like, the marijuana crowd is going to get, like, I'm neutral. I don't care what people do. And I don't even think,
Yep. Same thing for me here. Same thing.
like,
Yep.
I don't think it's a bad drug, because I think it does have some really good therapeutic effects
Yep.
potentially. Um, I'm just literally telling you from anecdotal evidence and scientific literature that in a lot of cases it worsens sleep quality.
Oh yeah, I've seen every single, and I mean that, every single person that has said to me that they're now taking CBD oil for sleep. I'm like, oh, okay, great. And then they start getting crappier and crappier results. And I take a look at it, and it's one of those blends with it, right? It's not just CBD. It's CBD with some form, or sorry, some amount of THC in it. So, but then I also will say, sorry, I got I had a swallowing problem outside of the uh, literature that you're talking about there, I haven't seen yet where anyone using just minor forms, or we'll even say pure forms of CBD, getting less quality of sleep. I've seen that one be doing nothing but good things for it. But yeah, run away from THC for sure, for in terms of at nighttime, because yeah, you nailed it. I don't have anything to add to that. It's because you are getting a little bit high, and that temporary anxiety relief is not going to be worth the sleep implications. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, whether people get mad or not, that's fine. But anything that makes you feel good has potential for psychological addiction. I don't care what you say. This
Of
is
course.
from a
Yep.
psychological standpoint. Whether it's physically addicting or not is a different story. But if
Well,
it,
we talked about that, right? We
yes,
talked about addiction. Like, and I don't think we actually hammered that home enough, which is exactly what you're trying to say. And I've been into so many verbal altercations because of that, is that there is physical dependence or physical addiction, and there's psychological addiction.
yeah,
And just because you're like, you know exactly what I'm saying. Like, people, I'm like, you're addicted to it. And they go, no, I'm not. And I'm like, I'm not talking about how you need it to make you feel good, but if you are physically dependent, if you, just like I was, if you cannot sleep without these sleeping pills, you are addicted to them. It's just called physical addiction.
people
Yeah.
are addicted. People are addicted to pre-workout.
Oh,
They can
100% they damn are.
like they can not even need caffeine. They can resensitize to caffeine, but the fact that they're not physically drinking a pre-workout before their training, it's a total placebo. And
Yep. Yep.
it's the same thing with any type of drug, that you want a drug to have a certain effect, and if the drug's not there, you think that, you kind of determine your own outcome, psychologically. So yeah, that's a slippery slope. Like, hey, if people want to use it for other therapeutic purposes and general anxiety disorder or whatever, that's maybe a different thing, but it's just not something I would use for sleep.
No, it's not recommended. Like, and I get it. Like, I know there's like, well, there's Ambien, there's Ativan, there's Xanax, there's lots of that stuff out there that, like, sure, maybe you're coming off of a surgery and you do need your Oxycontins to fall asleep or something like that. That's not what we're frigging talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, at all. Not even close. But if you are 2 years later and you're still needing your Ativan for your surgery that recovers in 6 weeks, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. One of the very first things I see any type of in consults, I see any type of depression medication, anxiety medication, sleep
Yep.
medication, anything like that. My disclaimer is I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you to stop anything, but let's talk about why you use them. Let's talk about your routine a little bit,
Yep.
and
Oh, for sure.
let's figure
And
stuff out.
the amount of people that have had like even GAD, like general anxiety disorder or whatever, only speaking just to like let's say completely anecdotally, but also to a couple of the psychologists that I have that are friends that I've chatted to relatively frequently, is you can, if you can't get rid of your anxiety, this is not me saying I can cure it or I've seen it be cured, or not me trying to demean anybody and say that your anxiety is is nothing. That's not it. It's that can it be lessened by routine and stuff like that? Exactly. If you go take a look at OCD people, I mean real OCD people, the ones that have to do 1 2 3 before they leave, or have to turn the burner onto their stove 3 times and turn it off. I'm talking these people. If they don't have a routine and have like a pattern going on, they would not make it, in terms of they would have way too much anxiety. They would have to be taken away and had someone with permanent help. So definitely looking into sleep and morning routines. Yeah, we'll even say that morning routines can really help a lot of that crap.
Yeah, man, that's a good one. That's a great overview on just your routine, throughout the entire day, some tips at night.
Yeah.
Figure out what works for you guys. Try to, like I said, try to be calm at night, try to get comfortable. Whatever weird, quirky masks and, comment on our podcast and show us your best eye masks. I want to see.
Yeah, that's damn right. I want to see them. That's right. I guess I'll add one more book there too that I actually took a course 2 years ago. It was called the Perfect Day Formula, and it's a very quick book. It was like not maybe a 2-hour one on Audible there, but I also had the hard copy of it. But just it was really made me, examine how I was structuring things, like how was my routines going on. Not only does he have a wicked one to help you for sleep and in the morning, but just during the day, and even getting your poop in a group, right? So yeah, the Perfect Day Formula. I'm trying to, for the life of me, I can't think of his name, but it will definitely pop up there really easy.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't have much to add.
I'm going to do that right now. I'll feel terrible because I like him. Oh, Craig Ballantyne. That's his name.
Okay.
Yeah, really like the guy. He's a fellow Canadian there out of Ontario. Yeah, and I went to his workshop that was a day long, and just, yeah, they basically go over everything and just show you where you're screwing up in life, how much free time you really do have, which that blew my mind a lot. That like I was just, we'll say wasting time or just not using time correctly, even if it wasn't even scheduling like a break or something like that. Yeah,
Right.
so that's kind of perfect then. Obviously, then, where you will know a little bit more about sleep and routines, and hopefully you can take a lot out of this one. So, from Austin and Marty here at the Mind Body Broadcast, we'll catch you next time.